Red Rock State Penitentiary is considered one of the most brutal and dangerous places in this country. No one should ever have to go there, but the reality is thousands of prisoners are locked behind its walls. When people talk about how brutal Red Rock really is, they usually blame the punishments, the strict rules, or the correctional officers, but that's not the real reason. The real horror lies in the filth, the decaying infrastructure, and the kind of people kept inside. Some of the most dangerous criminals in American history have spent time in Red Rock. Domestic terrorists, organized crime bosses, notorious gang leaders, even powerful and well-known people have passed through those gates. Politicians, businessmen, and celebrities tied to major criminal cases in the early 1990s. But beyond the famous inmates, there are certain blocks, places even the guards avoid talking about, where far more violent and disturbed prisoners were held. There's a saying that one human being is enough to destroy another human being's soul. You don't really need ghosts, and yet, today's story involves both. This story is about Red Rock State Penitentiary. We received this story through an email from one of our correction guard working there. After reading it, I couldn't focus on anything else. No other content felt important. This story stayed with me, because there are things that happen in this country that the media never covers, and Red Rock is one of those places. People die there in different ways almost every day. Sometimes it's ruled a natural death, sometimes suicide, and sometimes no explanation is ever given. Honestly, this story destroyed my sleep. Now it's your turn to hear the horror story of Red Rock. Before we begin, if you want more horror, mysterious, and true crime stories like this, make sure you subscribe. Now, let's start. This incident took place in 1993, inside Red Rock State Penitentiary Cell Block D. A prisoner named Ethan Walker was brought in. He had just arrived, gone through intake, completed his medical screening, changed into prison clothes, and was escorted inside. If you've never seen a prison like Red Rock, it's not just cells and hallways. It's like a small city. Thousands of inmates live together in massive concrete yards. The moment Ethan stepped inside, one thing became clear. He wasn't the worst person there. Ethan had been accused of brutally murdering 4 people. And yet, surrounded by so many violent criminals, he realized his nights were going to be long. He would have to stay alert. Trust no one. During lunch, as Ethan stood in line, a group of inmates approached him. "You're new," one of them said. "What are you in for?" "I killed 4 people," Ethan replied calmly. The group went silent. Then one man stepped forward. His name was Marcus Hale. "That's what the cops say," Marcus said. "That's what the courts say. But you tell me what really happened." Ethan shrugged. "What difference does it make? If they prove it, I'll get the needle. I'm not scared." Marcus gave a small smile. "The system moves slow," he said. "There are men here who've been locked up for 10, 20 years. They admitted to murder, still breathing." Then his expression changed. "Remember one thing about Red Rock," he said. "Don't trust anyone, not even us." "We showed no mercy out there," Marcus continued. "So why would we show it in here?" Ethan laughed it off. "I don't think anything like that will happen to me." Marcus stared at him. "You're not special," he said. "You're just like the rest of us." Later, as other inmates explained the rules, which blocks were safe, which areas to avoid, who to talk to, and who never to look at, Ethan was asked where he'd been assigned. "Cell Block D," he said. "Cell 217. The entire group went silent. From behind him, Marcus's voice cut through the air. "You were scared of execution," he said quietly. "Well, here it is. Your death is waiting for you in Cell Block D." Ethan smirked. "I've dealt with worse people than you,"
he replied. "I'm not afraid." That's when an old inmate finally spoke. "You can beg humans for mercy," the old man said. "But what will you do about the spirits?" He explained that Red Rock was built in the early 1940s, and ever since it opened, one thing had never changed. Cell Block D was haunted. Inmates claimed no one ever stayed there peacefully. Every night something walked the corridor. A figure, a presence. Its face was said to be so horrifying that men froze in their bunks. Some suffered heart attacks. Some lost their minds. No one ever wanted to stay in Cell Block D, ever. That evening, around 5 p.m., Ethan was finally taken there for the first time. Back in 1993, Cell Block D had almost no lighting. Concrete walls, narrow hallways, even before sunset. It was pitch black. As Ethan stepped inside, the darkness swallowed him. The correctional officer escorting him muttered under his breath. "Another new victim," he said. "Same cell." Then he stopped and looked directly at Ethan. "Let's see if you make it till morning," he whispered, "or if this place takes you too." The metal gate slammed shut behind Ethan with a sound so loud it echoed down the corridor like a gunshot. The officer didn't look back. His footsteps faded, one step at a time, until even the echo disappeared. Cell Block D was silent, too silent. Ethan stood there for a moment, letting his eyes adjust. The air felt wrong, thick, damp, heavy like the place itself was breathing. Cell 217 sat at the far end of the corridor. Every step toward it felt slower than the last, not because he was scared, but because something in his body was telling him to stop. The lights flickered once, twice, then stayed off. When he reached his cell, he noticed something strange. There were scratches on the inside of the door, deep ones, like someone had tried to claw their way out. Ethan swallowed hard, then laughed quietly to himself. "Get a grip," he muttered. The door slammed shut behind him, locking him in. Inside, the cell was bare. A steel bed, a thin mattress, a toilet bolted to the floor, and the smell. Rot, sweat, something old. Ethan sat on the bed and stared at the wall. That's when he heard it. Footsteps. Slow, dragging. Not from outside the block, from inside it. They echoed down the corridor, stopping in front of each cell, lingering, then moving on. Ethan held his breath. The footsteps stopped outside cell 217. Silence. Then a whisper, right next to his ear. "You don't belong here." Ethan jumped up, heart pounding. "There's no one there," he said aloud, but his voice sounded weak, unconvincing. The temperature dropped instantly. His breath became visible, and then he saw it. A shadow on the wall, too tall to be human. Its head tilted at an impossible angle. The shadow didn't move, but Ethan felt watched, judged. Every crime he'd ever committed flashed through his mind in vivid detail. The screams, the blood, the faces. He dropped to his knees, clutching his head. "I didn't mean to," he whispered. The shadow leaned closer, and for the first time, it spoke clearly. "You did," Ethan screamed. Guards later claimed they heard it echo through the entire block. Then nothing. The next morning, during head count, officers found cell 217 open. Ethan Walker was inside, still alive, still breathing, but his eyes were wide open, frozen, his face twisted in terror. Medical staff ruled it a heart attack, but there was something they couldn't explain. Every inch of the cell walls were covered in fresh scratches, and written over and over again, "In blood it walks at night." After that incident, Cell Block D was permanently sealed. No inmates were ever housed there again, but guards still report hearing footsteps, still report whispers, still avoid that corridor, because some places don't need ghosts to be evil, but when evil lives long enough, sometimes it learns how to walk, Now I want to ask you, do you think Ethan was punished by a ghost or by his own guilt? Do you believe some places absorb the suffering of people inside them? And if Cell Block D were reopened today, would you dare to spend just one night inside? Tell me your thoughts in the comments. If you want more true horror stories, prison legends, and disturbing confessions the media never talks about, make sure you subscribe, because some stories don't end when the lights turn off. They wait. And remember, Midnight Confessions, it follows you.